Welcome to the Small Business Rally Point. My name's Pat Miller, the Idea Coach, and it is Monday, August 3rd, 2020, and we are back after a little bit of a hiatus. We were off last week as the Idea Collective was huddled up together and listening to the Profit First author, Mike Michalowicz, for a private webinar, and it was fantastic, and I'm refreshed, I'm enthused, and I'm ready to learn about Facebook, and that's what we're going to do today with our speaker, Cierra Lueck of Cierra Lueck Consulting. She's going to help us share ways that we can organically engage with our business audience on Facebook. The Small Business Rally Point, of course, is sponsored by Serendipity Labs and the new Idea Collective for small business owners. Got to give a big shout out, to the Ultimate Connector and my business BFF, the showrunner, Jennifer Buchholz. So thank you for coming on and running the show behind the scenes. And if you want to make sure that you do not miss any of these shows, you can get on our VIP distribution list. That means we'll text you on Monday and let you know, hey, here's who's going to be on the show today, and here's the link. To do that, just text the word biz to 414-240-1315. There's another link that you can use. Text the word wait. If you text the word wait to that same number, you'll get on the waiting list for the Idea Collective because as of right now, well, it's closed to new members. We're going to reopen in early October. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But first things first, I'm so excited for this guest. We've been talking for the last couple of weeks, and we are going to learn about something that seems to be a little bit mysterious. We're going to learn about the Facebook algorithm. We're going to learn about how to engage our audience better on Facebook for our businesses. So let's welcome Cierra Lueck to the call. Cierra, nice to see you. Thanks for coming. And how has Monday been for you so far?
Monday has been absolutely stacked, call after call after call. So it's been fun. I love it.
Yeah, got that energy going on. So you're all warmed up and ready to teach us, huh?
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's start with Facebook in general. You share that you can help us how to organically engage with our audiences on Facebook. So if someone's new to Facebook and the Facebook algorithm, can you just start there? Like, what is the Facebook algorithm? And I would ask you to explain how does it work, but I'm sure that that's a much longer conversation than our call.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as Facebook goes, Facebook is the #1 social media platform out there. I actually have some statistics to compare. I'm not sure if that was one of the questions for later, is it?
No, sure. What do you got? Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So there are 2.6 billion users across the world on Facebook. On Instagram, there are 1 billion users. On Twitter, there are 330 million users. On YouTube, there's 1 billion users. On LinkedIn, there's 250 million users. On Pinterest, there are 200 million users. And then on Snapchat, one of the ones that's more of a younger generation, there's 200 million users there as well. But so Facebook is the absolute largest platform.
Wow. So that's where the audience is for a lot of small business owners, especially. Would it be fair to say that Facebook skews to that middle age and that older demographic than some of the younger platforms? Would you say that's the case?
So actually, it's really interesting. The most common age demographic on Facebook is 25 to 34.
Okay.
On compared to, let's just hit a couple of the business ones because that's what people are wanting to know more about here. So if we go over to Instagram, I know a lot of people have been using Instagram for business. 18 to 29 is the most common age range there. And then on LinkedIn, 30 to 49. And on Pinterest, which I know a lot of people I've been talking to recently are picking up trying to do advertising with Pinterest because it's not really tapped yet. And so the age demographic there is 25 to 34 is the most common age.
So can we explore that just for a second? So I've heard that same kind of buzz about Pinterest. What's going on with Pinterest and what are you hearing? Because I want to learn about Facebook too, but I'm like, ooh, I've heard about that. What can you share about that?
So Pinterest is an area where there's not, so right now the algorithm with Facebook, like a lot of people, they think of it as like, I think you wrote it down like that, the evil algorithm that's out to get them.
Yeah.
Well, on Pinterest, there's not really an algorithm there yet. So there's not really any, actually, if it's okay, I saw somebody asked a question
Yeah.
over there that I think goes perfect with this. Is
Yeah,
that
go for
cool?
it. Absolutely.
Okay. So she said, have you seen a dip in overall engagement on business Facebook pages in the last few months compared to previous months? And the answer is yes and no. It depends on how people were using their business pages. So before in the algorithm, before they really updated it, a lot of business pages were able to get a lot of organic reach because it was just like if you had a profile, if you had a business page, if you had a group, whatever, it all had equal amount of reach. But they found that their users did not like that as much, and people were leaving the platform because they weren't getting as engaged. And so that's why they came up with the algorithm the way that it is now, so that people are actually getting more of what they want, which means that, and we'll dive into this in a minute, it means that it's working in your favor if you know how to use it. But with Pinterest, there is no algorithm. There's like no rhyme or reason. At this point, I'm sure that they're working on that. But so more people have the opportunity to get a lot of organic reach on there. I still think that if you can use any platform, Facebook's going to be the way to go.
And because that's where the people are primarily. So there's
Yeah.
audiences. But as we're kind of hinting around here, organic reach versus paid reach, it seems to be harder. It feels harder to get organic reach on Facebook now than it used to be, but you help us with that. So talk us through some of that. How can we use Facebook for good and not evil?
Okay. So there's actually 3 different places that I primarily use. I mean, obviously there's Facebook ads. That's a whole other beast all in itself. I think you had a guest that spoke on that at one point, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. So with Facebook pages, they get a lot less organic reach. What you have to do for a Facebook page, if you're going to have a business page on Facebook, people use that primarily just for information. So if you are posting about your business, maybe you don't have a website yet, a Facebook page is a great alternative instead of a website. If you don't want to go into like paying all the extra stuff, it's a free place to put all your business information. At the same time, if you use it kind of as a news reporting area, you can get a lot of organic reach because people are getting used to the fact that you're going to be producing certain kinds of information. So they will actually go check your page as opposed to Facebook actually boosting it in the algorithm. If people have a reason to come back to your page all the time, they are going to come back and search for that information. So say you're in a local area and your business is local. If you provide a little bit of local news, like updates on events or stuff like that, I actually helped a women entrepreneurs group to get organic reach on their Facebook page. And still to this day, 2 years later, they are still getting the same amount of organic reach that they had before. Even during quarantine didn't phase it at all because it's giving local news.
It's an interesting concept to run with just a Facebook page and not a website. And you're seeing businesses do that and they're doing just fine. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. One of the great things about Facebook pages is that it will pixel everything. So you can get your website to do that, but Facebook pages will pixel for Facebook ads, and Facebook ads are actually run across Facebook and Instagram. And now some of the ads are picking up space on websites and picking up pixels on websites as well. So you actually can pixel your audience. And what that means is that, say all of your audience is men. It's primarily men, or it's primarily from one local area, or they primarily purchase, like you can target your audience if they all purchase a certain type of razor, which I mean, it's so funny how the pixels pick up on that. But I mean, it's like Facebook knows everything about everyone who uses their platform.
And that pixel will allow you then to target them even when they're not on Facebook, right? You can chase them, or that's how the ads follow you around the internet, right? That's that little tool, right?
Yes, but it's meant to help people and show them what they want. So to give a really silly example, I was looking up something online one time, and then unbeknownst to me, Facebook obviously following what I'm doing, I start seeing ads for it later, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to buy that. And so it's there to help.
Yeah.
It's there to show people more of what they want. That's what the algorithm is for. And so if you're getting less featured in the algorithm, like in people's news feeds, or if your ads aren't really getting seen, or if your page isn't getting notoriety, or if your group really isn't getting a lot of engagement, it's typically because the people don't want to see what you're offering.
it's you and not me, is what you're saying, right? Now, we have a lot of questions that are coming into the chat, which is great. So we're going to get to those in just a minute. But I do want to make sure that we get some of the information out about how to organically engage with our audience. So you talk about where we should put stuff if we're trying to sell on Facebook. What are some of your favorite areas to use?
So if you're not using ads and you're doing stuff organically, honestly, I like to actually converse with people, because if you're doing products versus a service-based business, it's going to be a little bit different. My favorite way to use Facebook for selling is going to be building a community around your brand. And that's what I do with Facebook groups. That's what I primarily work on with my clients. We sync up across like all of the different social media platforms to make sure that they have one message, and it kind of funnels information into the community. And if you can have that platform and that community, like we have a great community of people here today. You have a Facebook group, right? Is that where we're live streaming?
We're live streaming to our Facebook group, Brand Crafted. Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. So inside of that Facebook group, you now have this opportunity for contribution and connection, and for people to build something beyond just what your brand is doing. Now you have this entire community that, you being one of the leaders of the community, everyone's going to look to you for leadership. Everyone's going to look to your brand for, hey, what's Pat Miller selling now? What's the idea coach got for us now? Or, something like that. When you are the leader of your community, admin, moderator, something like that, you are actually able to be the voice in somebody's life to kind of lead them and guide them to the solutions or the answers that they want, which could be your product or could be your service.
So how else can Facebook groups help out a business? Because that seems to be the choice that many people make, right? They have their personal page, then they might have a business page, but then this concept of opening a group around their business, there are benefits to doing that. Some of them you've just mentioned, but what are some other ways that groups can help us?
So you actually wrote down one of the specific things that I created recently, which is the 5 Facebook group types for businesses. And I have a PDF of that. If you guys want that, just let me know, reach out. You feel free to add me as a friend, but I can get that sent over to you, and you don't have to send me your email for you to get it, just so you know. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, you can have this free thing if you get on my email list.
Yeah.
So one of the first types of Facebook groups that there are for businesses is a paying clients only group. And those can be really good if it's like a mastermind kind of effect. But the pros of that kind of group is that everyone is a valued customer. Everyone has one purpose. Everyone can encourage each other along the path to success in your coaching or in your business or with your products. And then it can also be something that's got high ticket products, or it could be low ticket. Either way is fine. But the cons of that kind of group are that the group size has limitations based on your client numbers. So it doesn't allow you to have that pipeline to get new clients. You must pay for any kind of help running the group. You must have a solid plan in place for client acquisition outside of the group. And then it also requires hiring for any kind of help that you might need to run the group or grow the group. Mm-hmm. And the member benefit, the obvious member benefit, is the paid coaching that they're getting.
And there are other types of groups. So that's the paid group, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was like, any questions?
Oh, we got to actually, I'm holding back the dam of questions. We've got like 3 or 4 questions. They're ready to go, but I wanted to make sure we heard about the group. So let's do that. So we've got a question about using Facebook and let's do this. Inside the chat, we drop in some links and emails. So at some point, let's share your email in the chat so people can get in touch with you, and we'll look you up on Facebook as well. But all right, Michael Rampolla, you had a question for Cierra. Can you go ahead and ask it, please?
Absolutely. My question was, when it comes to, you said Facebook is the right channel. My question was, even if the business is doing primarily or even exclusively B2B sales. So I know everybody says it's people first, but Facebook almost always feels like B2C. Is B2B sales through Facebook still the number one right channel to go with?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that was easy. Next.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so the one thing that I will say about like LinkedIn, for instance, is there's an income bracket variation that is actually pretty surprising. So for income on LinkedIn, 44% of users earn over $75,000 a year. On Facebook, 72% of online users have an income of $75,000 or more. So you have a difference of 28%.
So did I hear you right? Wait, I'm muted again. No, I'm off. Did you say that there's actually a higher percent of high earners on Facebook than on LinkedIn?
Yes. 72% versus 44%.
Wow. I don't think
I would have gotten that one wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that would be intuitive.
Opposite of.
Someone that helps in that area, is that something that's obvious to you, or is that one of those wow stats that people make that face that Michael's making when they hear that stat?
No, actually, I've built up my network over the last year, and it is not surprising at all after I changed who I was talking to and who I was hanging around with and just where I'm at. One of the largest groups on Facebook right now, I think they're up at like 386,000 members. That group is a women entrepreneurs group. It is just women business owners on Facebook, 386,000 members.
Wow. So one of the points that Alan makes in the chat, which I think is interesting too, some folks use LinkedIn to narrow down onto certain job titles, for example. But the advertising opportunities on LinkedIn are, I'm not really impressed with them. They seem to be a little bit clunky, but on Facebook, you can do some pretty interesting stuff. And I know we're primarily talking about organic engagement, but talking about Facebook ads at all, is there anything you'd like to add about maybe ads or boosted posts or things like that that might work?
Yeah, for sure. So with Facebook, before you ever start running your ads, I actually have a friend who specializes in, you know how people have ads sometimes and they just like, they get shut down for no reason.
Yes.
I actually know one company in particular that they do about $1 million a month on Facebook ads. I think actually it's grown to like 3 million now, but for 1 month this year, their ads got shut down for no reason whatsoever. And my friend went in there and he like scrubbed their ads, made it completely clean for Facebook, made it Facebook acceptable, and they were back up by the next month. But that means that for a month, they had $1 million hit. Like that's a huge, huge hit. And so it's one of those things that if you are already doing organic posting, like copywriting kind of posts, just to kind of feel out your market on Facebook first, then when you start running ads, it's going to be so much better than if you just started running ads and you're like trying to test like 10 different organic copy. You could do that without running ads and test it without running ads and let your market speak to you first and then start running ads. So that's actually my recommendation.
That's cool. That's cool. Another concept was brought up in chat that maybe you might have some input on. Kirsten says that Facebook micro influencers seem to be becoming more popular. When I think influencers, for some reason, I don't think Facebook. I think Instagram, maybe LinkedIn people that stare in the camera and give speeches, but like Facebook as an influencer's platform, is that so common that it didn't stand out to me, or is that becoming a thing and it hasn't been before?
So actually it's been around for a while. So if you have a page, you can set yourself up as, the title of it's escaping me, but there are several different ways to set your page up. And when you set your page up as like an author or some kind of self-titled position, then you have the opportunity now where people can go like your page. There are a few people who do this really well. One of my favorites is Sandy Kurkowski. And on her page, I want to say she has over 1 million people who follow her on there, but her engagement is extremely high. The way that she engages with her audience is really, really great. And so organically, she has good engagement on her Facebook page, which says a lot. So if you've been seeing a dip in your page, it's got to be more about what you're putting out to your audience and how you are actually showing up and how you are engaging. One of my favorite quotes is, "As goes the head, so goes the body." So however you are showing up is how everyone else is going to show up. People mirror or they match your energy when it comes to engagement.
I love the content that you've shared today. One thing I want to know more about, tell me more about what you do as a service offering, because you've stoked a lot of conversation in the chat and people clearly want to know more. So tell us about what you do for business owners and how you help.
So this year, I developed the C5 strategy. I've worked with groups and local businesses and organizations for more than a decade to develop community engagement for them. And this year, I created the C5 strategy. And what that does is it takes people through a really, really simple 5-step process that makes their group become the hopping spot for whatever their industry or niche is, where people actually show up, they raise their hand, they say, you know what, this is for me, I want to buy. They're so excited about being in the group. They start inviting all of their friends, and sales go through the roof, because there's actually 3 different types of buyers, and most groups right now are set up only for the first type, which is the people who buy immediately, but they aren't built for longevity. And so I help people build a business that's going to last for a really long time.
And how does someone start with you? Just get to the website for a consultation, or how do you engage with people?
Yeah, so I have a link on my Facebook profile. It's a schedule once through Once Hub, and you can book a call with me there. Right now I have my calendar pretty open, but mainly I do my calls with people. I do a strategy session where we go through the C5 strategy, how it could work for them. And I really just like to get a good feel for people's businesses so that it can be individual to every single person I work with.
Well, it's been great to talk about it. And the concept of getting engagement on Facebook through organic reach is something we're all trying to get better at. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to make sure you shared with the group today, or anything else that's on your mind?
Yeah, no, I don't want to jump into a whole lot, but there's 4 other group types for businesses. So if you guys want that, just add me as a friend, and I can reach out in Messenger and get that over to you. I just hired a VA who is going to be helping me to make sure that I don't miss out on anybody who asked me for information.
Well, they're clamoring in the chat for wanting to know more, but I think we might have to leave that for getting in touch with you. That sounds great. Thank you so much, Cierra Lueck, for coming on. It's great to talk to you. And I have a feeling that we might be inviting you back soon for more of your wisdom, because it was great. So thanks a lot for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Cierra Lueck from Cierra Lueck Consulting, talking about Facebook and organic engagement for your business, and definitely something that we would all love to have more of. So please reach out to her. And Cierra, once you get a chance to catch your breath, drop your contact information in the chat. That way we can all get a hold of you, maybe a link to your Facebook page or something, so we can get in touch. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to our Small Business Rally Point Roundtable. And this is the part where we're encouraging you to unmute your microphone or raise your hand and jump in on what we have to say. Today's starting topic. Now, the way it works is we'll start with a question, but we'll definitely want to continue the conversation with anything else that's on your mind. But what are you learning right now? Like, what are you trying to learn? Like, hey, I'm trying to use what Cierra was teaching me and trying to get better at organic engagement on Facebook. Or what are you trying to learn right now that maybe we can help you with, or we just want to hear what you're up to? Or what have you learned about recently that you think everyone else needs to know about? So I would encourage you to drop into the chat with, hey, I've got something, and then we'll unmute you and you can share with the group what you've learned or what you're learning, because I think that'll be pretty darn valuable.
Well, while stuff is coming in, I did commit to a lot of professional development work over COVID. And so I have re-upped a lot of certifications. I've taken a lot of training. And now, as my new website is getting ready to launch, thanks to Keystone Click, I actually have all the little badges to put on there and everything. So, like, you know, additional credibility. But the other part of that, aside from the learning, then comes the networking part of that as well. So I've been able to really branch out my network as related to the certain topics I'm learning. So again, it's nerd stuff. It's all the Microsoft certified, blah, blah, blah. But it's been really helpful. And I don't know another time. I mean, this was a goal to do this year, and I squished it all into like 2 months. So cool.
And got it done fast. And tell us about the new website. I mean, Keystone Click, that's first-rate stuff. So tell us what it's going to be.
We saw the preview today. I'm still a little bit anxious about it because my last website was DIY, so it was DI bad. Ooh, seriously. So actually, you know, like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way. It would be helpful if somebody did. But like when somebody's like, hey, I met you and I checked out your website, and I'm like, it was like the look of shame every time somebody said I looked at your website. I'm like, oh, please don't do that. So clearly that was I'm so glad it's done. It's just we're right on the cusp. It should be with their new program at Keystone Click. It should be ready to launch in the next week or two. It's moving really quickly. Um, Oh, the other thing I did want to share though about learning real quick, because as everybody's jumping in, because the chats are coming in and I'll go back to that job, was that some of these places that are doing learning stuff and certifications, they all did COVID pricing. So my $800 Microsoft certified trainer fee that I'd have to pay was waived.
Hello.
Yeah, so that was also some impetus to get my butt in gear to do some of that stuff. So just if you've been noodling on any of that, I encourage you to go check out some of those things that you thought price-wise were out of reach, because they may have some good stuff going on. And you, if they don't have it advertised, you might be able to put a plug in for your business that you had some economic hardships, and they might have other things for you there too. So
Yeah, and most importantly, you're learning how to smoke barbecue, which is amazing. So that's delicious.
inspired by you, Pat.
Well, I'm an influencer. I just changed my title on Facebook because it's a big deal, I hear. Kirsten, you're learning new things. What are you learning?
Well, apparently I learned that I need to send you barbecue sauce so that way you
Yes.
can take it to Facebook. Yeah,
Yes,
because
you
that's how that
do.
works. I have been learning virtual events. Let me tell you, this is a whole nother ball game. So as many of you know, I'm a tourist attraction in Nebraska, and our biggest event is a one-time-a-year event where we can take people out onto the world's largest rail yard. Well, with COVID, we have decided to cancel this event, or at least move it virtual. So learning how to video edit, learning how to engage virtually has been quite interesting. Learning what the platform is, and praying and praying and praying that it's going to engage people this weekend. So we go live on this Friday and we'll see how it goes.
So how long have you been working on it?
So we made the call about 2.5 months ago. So obviously we work with Union Pacific very closely. So getting the permissions to actually get onto the yard to do the filming is one process. Hiring the editing, or hiring a film crew, doing the editing and getting all the approval processes takes a little bit longer. So I'm just starting to see some of the stuff, some of the filming coming back today. And then I'm happy to go back in and add in more stuff, just because I was getting a little nervous. I was getting too close to time, and we're 5 days away, and I'm like, yeah. So it's interesting. It's how do you take a train ride and turn it virtual? How do you take a trip to go to a place that you've never been before and then make it virtual? How do you take kids events and turn it virtual? And then how do you monetize it? I mean, let's be honest, that's what it's also about, is monetizing it and using it for advertising. So it's been a process.
Well, next week.
Wouldn't say I'm learning, but I'm sweating at the same time. So.
Well, next week when it's live, or in 2 weeks, whenever you can share it, make sure you drop a link. We'd love to see that. Brad Herda, you're learning something. What are you learning, Brad?
The creating of a brand, or taking away from one brand and creating another one, is not just hit the button and go.
Right.
What I thought could have been done in February or March is still lingering. As Jennifer was talking about the do-it-yourself website piece to it, and making changes, and making sure that you want everything to align, right? And I had to get over the progress before perfection piece to it. So we are making progress. It will not be perfect, but it's been a challenge to go through, and writing content for your own site is really effing hard when you start thinking about it for yourself. Easy to talk about for others, but not so easy for yourself.
Yeah, right. I can figure it out for you, no problem. But when I got to say my own thing, I don't even know how to spell my name. As someone that coaches other people for a living, did you learn anything in this process? Like, did you have any self-reflection of, oh yeah, stuff that I
do what you say what you do, right? I mean, it's just open the book, just read just do the same thing that you talk to others about. It's hard to take that that self-study course sometimes.
Yeah. Well, good luck with it. I know that we've had a front row seat of watching you develop it. We look forward to seeing it. Cierra, you're learning something new. What have you learned throughout all of this? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, sure. So when I first started launching my strategy, I was operating at a certain level. I was doing a lot of the work myself. And one of the biggest things I learned is that to be able to scale your business and make it to that next level, that next tier, you actually have to operate at a different level. So you won't be doing the same activities. And the faster you scale, the more you will be changing. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a wild ride, but I'm also preparing for more change because my business has been massively scaling.
Well, that's great. First of all, can you think of one of the behaviors you had to change? Like, I stopped doing this and I started doing this, just to give us an example of what you're talking about?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
We'd need like a whole session.
Here's
Uh,
part two of our interview with Cierra. Let's talk about scaling our business.
Yeah, no. So one big one that I've made just in the last week is the way that I schedule my stuff. I actually made it to where I don't schedule on the half hour anymore. I schedule on the hour, and I stick to my time so that I respect the person that I'm with and I respect myself.
Yeah, that's great. It's all about mindset and operations. That's great. Vicky, you had something to share. What are you learning, or what have you learned?
I am working on a system administration role for Salesforce. So Salesforce seems to be appearing quite often in job descriptions, and I am in the job market. So I'm open to learning new technology because it seems like there's so many places where you can actually apply Salesforce in so many areas. So I'm taking a class that I can pace, just pick up whenever I have time to do it.
And how has that been to learn? Has it been intuitive? Has it been difficult? What is it like? I've never touched it. What's it like?
It's kind of fun, and they actually give you a playground to actually try some of the stuff that you're learning. So you do a little section, you like mobile customizations or lightning round or the lightning interface, and then they give you a playground to actually test it out. So you learn a section, and then at the end of each section, it will quiz you. It will either ask you multiple choice questions, or it will give you an assignment to go do in your playground. So and you earn badges, and when you earn a badge, all this confetti comes coming down from the top of the screen. It's pretty impressive, and it's kind of fun to do. But if you don't follow exactly what they're telling you to do, if you stray off of the beaten path, you won't pass all the skill test. So it's kind of stressful in a way, but
I bet.
But it's good. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. I just hope I finish it soon.
Well, and if you get done, as you said before, there are 11 billion jobs that need Salesforce. So it's a good piece of software to learn. And calling it a playground just sounds so happy. Look, ooh, I'm on my playground. Yay.
And the confetti
and the confetti, right? Yeah.
Badges. Yeah.
Jennifer, we're going to come to you in a minute. Sandra's up next. Thank you, Vicky. Sandra, what did you learn, or what are you learning?
What did I learn? So I took a 5-day boot camp course on lead creation and branding yourself on not just Facebook, but they talked a lot about Facebook. And it's really to just focus on you and take your business out of Facebook. And that's a little challenging, but I'm working on it. I got myself locked out somehow when I started to take my business out. Yeah. And but she's a direct sales coach, so she helps people in direct sales. And I'm like, well, why not try it? So I'm in the process of taking my business out and focusing on me and what I'm interested in. Because she said, then you will attract people that are like you become magnetic to the people that you want to surround yourself with. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, that's something Sarah was mentioning while she was talking, and just reinforced it a minute ago about behaving in the way that you want to become, and all of that stuff works. That's cool. Well, Sandra, good luck on the 5-day course. How far are you into it? Did you say you completed it already, or how far are you?
I have the homework to do. I've got some of the homework done, but I've got some homework I've got to get done this week. So
okay, well, get off the playground and go do your homework.
I know. I'm doing 2 different courses, different things. So I'm trying to balance doing 2 different, one's a mindset thing, one's a Facebook coaching thing. So anyway, it's going to be great.
Okay. Well, good. Well, good luck with that. If you have other things that you've learned or other things that you are learning, we still have a few more moments rather, that we can fit in the conversation. So drop it into the chat and we'll come to you. Jennifer, what have you learned, or what are you learning?
I was doing a 5-day challenge through Rise Up World. I don't know if any of you guys have participated in that. They've got a big following on Facebook and free resources, but then doing this targeted challenge on sales and marketing. And they were talking a lot about all kinds of different things. Learned a few things about Facebook group because I was just getting mine kind of off the ground. But then within that, they talked about this. One of the speakers did a lucky 7-day social media challenge about how to connect with those people that you want to become clients and start to engage them, that I thought would be an interesting approach, especially for some of my clients, that they could take advantage of as well. And then the other thing that they talked a lot about was doing small group virtual coaching programs, and you're kind of developing the program as it goes, as you get people that are interested in it. And I thought it was a really great approach. I definitely would have to get out of my comfort zone of wanting to have everything lined up in advance of like, what are they going to ask me? How much advance time do I need to prepare it? But how you could just get it off the ground pretty quickly and really get the content developed as you're just continuing to offer a 5-session small group offering. So I think I'm really interested in doing that in the future to give me another platform to be able to engage multiple people at the same time.
You know, that's interesting. And some of you have heard me mention this before, but the way that I ended up with the Idea Collective was finding a guy named Jack Butcher. He runs a group called Visualize Value, and I'm putting that here inside the chat. He was on Mighty Networks. That's how I found Mighty Networks, where the Idea Collective lives. And he runs a killer channel on Slack. And he creates digital products, and it's a group designed for people that want to buy products and sell them digitally. It doesn't matter that part, but the part that he talks about is building in the open, because building in the open will attract the people who are interested in what you're building. And then when it's ready to go, people will want to jump in. And when you said that'll get you out of your comfort zone, I can 100% relate with that. Because back in the day when I built radio stations, it was top secret, like top secret. Here in Milwaukee, we built 94.5 KTI Country. 4 people on the planet knew that it was happening for the entire run. Up until we hit the button, no one knew it was coming. So that's how I was trained. But now that I'm building out in the open, the stress isn't quite as high and it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but it was a lot of fun. All right, Garrett Stein, you now have letters after your name, sir. Tell us what you've just learned.
I am now an applied jewelry professional from GIA, the Gemological Association. So I'm accredited.
Very cool.
Other people can say I know my pretty baubles.
So what's that process like? Was that a test? Was that, how did you get that?
It was 3 online classes that you had to take. They normally have them either online or on site. But with the COVID, they ran a really awesome special, and I went with the special, and woohoo.
Now that just comes back to what Jennifer was saying, right? That if we look around for training that we want. All right, so let's pivot the conversation. Oh, I said pivot.
Drink.
Sorry. What do you want to learn right now? Because it looks like we ain't going anywhere. Kids are not going back to school, at least not in Wauwatosa. They are, but it's all virtual. But if we have some time left, right, before things get quote unquote back to normal, what do you want to learn? Michael Rampolla, what do you want to learn as you continue your world domination in front of the whiteboard?
Put me on the spot. I want to learn how to help others do what I do, which is it's my magic sauce, so to speak. It's like the way that I think, but I've been doing it so much lately that I also realize I'm not scalable. Like I can only grow so far. If I could somehow teach somebody else to think how I think or ask questions the way that I ask questions, I could grow and scale much faster. So I would love to figure out which parts of it are teachable, trainable, and then figure out how to do that part.
Yeah, but that's not why you're good. You're not good because of your questions. You're good because of the questions after the questions. You could teach someone to ask the questions, but your instinct leads to the follow-up questions. What you need are like 42 minions to do literally everything for you. So all you do is ask questions.
Okay.
Hey,
so I need 42 minions.
You need 42 minions. You need to start training minions.
Action item.
Minions. Find minions.
42 specifically minions.
42.
Okay. Now sourcing minions. Taking applications in the chat.
Roger says I look good in blue overalls. Very
there it is.
Roger.
Done. Step 1 is submit a photo. No. It should never be step 1 of the hiring process.
All right. Now, Tanya, you bring up an interesting counterpoint to that, though. Give Michael that perspective, because I think that's pretty smart. Tanya, are you there? I'm asking.
Michael, here's your first one.
Oh, there you go. Michael's.
Thank
first.
you. That's 1, 2. Good. All right. Check. Hold on. 40. Okay. So 1, 2. We're down to 40. 40 minions.
40 minions.
Open call. Casting call.
All right,
Thank you.
Tanya, what were you saying? Because you brought up a different perspective. I thought that was good.
Well, I wonder if there are experts out there who help people source talent, who have a way to, evaluate Michael and, what his profiles are on certain, I forget what they call those things where you take, the little personality test or whatever, and then the dots go in places. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, those things.
So is there maybe a way to find people who share some similar profile types as you, so that they might be more teachable, trainable to do what you do, and could actually, help you out as coaches? I just wonder if, because you're right, if you're the one having to always do the one-on-one with clients, it's not going to be super scalable. It will be scalable to a point with the 40 minions, but there's still only so much time in your day.
True.
But, are there other people on the planet, and how can we find them who are kind of like you and can do what you do?
And how do we make it so we don't all drive each other nuts? Because too many Michaels in a
there
room.
is that too.
Oh, man.
Right?
There were 2 whiteboards on this call.
Tip the center of gravity. Okay, Sierra's got her hand up, so I want to hear from the new expert. What do we got?
Sierra, go for it.
What I would say is that you are going to be really, really good at what you do, and there's not going to be anyone else out there like that can do what you do. But for different elements in your business, you can hire somebody often who is an expert in that one element, and they will surpass what you do in that one element. And if you can become really good at finding those people, your business is just going to be exponentially better.
Great.
So it's finding everybody else, finding the surrounding ancillaries, basically.
Yeah. So I got to do
Makes sense.
So a lot of us know Tracy Shirk of Shirk Consulting. She came on the Lift As We Climb podcast that I do, and she runs a program called Predictive Index, which teaches you how to know what your superpowers are and the type of people that you mesh with. So when you're hiring, I would hire someone that fills these needs, and someone would hire someone that fills these needs. So if we wanted to get all scientific about it, we could connect you with Tracy, and you could learn what you have and what you need. So that way you hire the right minions. Because if you hire just little Michaels, that's not going to work.
No, this is also true. No, this is actually really good insight. Like, this is all, I was giving Brad a hard time. I don't know if part of it was public, part of it was private, but basically saying, like, every coach, like, has a hard time coaching themselves, right? And this is, it's a thing. We all say, oh, it's easy. I'll just do for myself what I do for other people, but then you can't. You don't know why. And it's funny because it's exactly what we talked about last Thursday. So yes, somebody used to say, yes, compliments, true. But I do need somebody who is at least has at least some element of that consulting nuance, because otherwise the front end of my funnel is still limited. So as much as I can, peel off the back end of the stuff that comes in, I still want to expand this top end of the funnel. So minions and a couple minion leaders. So we'll figure it out. This is really good. Thanks, everybody.
Kirsten brings up Enneagrams, and those are amazing too. Now we also want to what do you still want to learn? So think about that. But Ariel's going to jump in on Michael and his minions. Ariel, what do you think?
I'm ready.
She just remuted. Unmute, Ariel, unmute.
Be gentle.
Got a phone call. Okay. JB, what do you got? Oh, Ariel, you're free. Okay, yes, dear.
Okay. Yes. Hi. So my initial thought is what everyone else is saying, which is what we see with you, Michael, is you have a special sauce. And I think trying to create an exact replica is not going to happen. But there's a piece to what you can teach and what you can't. And I'm laughing as soon as you brought this up, because you know that we had in the Idea Collective a whiteboarding session, and I said this exact thing to Michael, and I want to teach people how to do what I do, and that he built out a whole program from it. So it is really hard to do for yourself what you can do for others. So I think the piece, Michael, is identify what's your skill set that either you have it or you don't, because there's a piece to that. But then what is the part that you can translate, and how can you make that purchasable? but except that you're not going to create an exact replica because there's a skill set that you have that you've developed. There's a special piece to you that you can't create minions to exactly do. But what is the part that you can teach others that they could apply and up level themselves, even if they're not at your level?
Cool.
Very good.
Thank you all. All right, stop making me feel so good. Stop it. Throw to somebody else.
I'm talking about how
Too many compliments. No, it's not. I'm full. I'm full.
I dropped into the chat. So when I interviewed Tracy, I linked the podcast episode. Great, gratuitous self-promotion. But she also gave me the predictive index free test. So that's inside the chat. So if you want to take out and figure out what your deal is, you can take that link. And then also there's her leading in a crisis workshop there too. Jennifer Buchholz, you wanted to maybe close the topic on embarrassing Michael about talking how special he is and how we need more of him?
Oh, sure. That sounds like fun. Really though, think about like, what do you have the most demand for? And what is some of the simplest things that you can offload so that you're bringing your secret sauce to that next level? Because there's some people who don't need the secret sauce all the time, right? So it's just that idea of what are some of the basics that more people need? And then you're really taking everybody to that next level, even just through some of those group things that you do. Again, you're not going to find you because we all know how special you are.
Special.
Anyway, but
all right, please change topics. Come on. Killing me.
Oh, I'll set up a whole different event just so we can reap praise on Michael. I think I'll get that set up right now.
I think we need to have a Rampolla Appreciation Day is what we need.
I think we just had it. That was good. I'm good.
All right, great. So mark the calendar. August 3rd
Thank you.
of next year is Rampolla Day. All right. So is anyone else?
Honestly, it was just quick. Thank you all very much. That was very appreciated and very kind and very generous. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And if your icon next time I see you in the Idea Collective is not a minion, I'll be disappointed. Okay. So is anyone else learning anything or wanting to learn something before the shutdown happens? I just went through and I built a new computer, which I'd never done before. And that's about the most frustrating thing I've ever done, getting a new computer set up. And I'm also learning video editing. That's making me crazy. And I think Kirsten could probably relate to that. Being an old school radio person, moving pictures around can be incredibly frustrating. So those are two things that I'm doing. But last call for things that you're learning or anything that you want to learn before we quote unquote get back to normal, whenever that might end up hopefully happening. I know, right? For real. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's wrap up our rally point for today.
Roger had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Roger. I don't have it on Brady Bunch View. You got to drop into the chat.
Oh, we're all good, man. No, real
Roger,
quick.
What are you learning?
Real quick, 30 seconds. Oh, cool. I think I'm Cindy today. So I'm learning how to do hybrid events, live and virtual events when I speak. So I stepped outside my comfort zone and went to a meeting planners meeting. And really opened up and listened to what they're doing. So there's tech that's changing, there's formats that are changing, and I'm trying to get into the mind of the people who are running the platforms when they say that they're training their speakers. So I'm trying to do a bridge there to the teacher/provider in me and help them with that and see if I might be able to get some business out of that. So trying to help out in a serving way, but my world is changing. And it's spinning. One might say it's PIVOT-ing.
Oh.
But
D-R-I-N-K.
Huh?
D-R-I-N-K.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. You can't even spell it. Fine. And so anyway, I'm open to learning new stuff, which is really really interesting. So thanks for asking.
As a speaker, it's interesting to be pivoting to like a player coach almost. Like that makes your business more reliable a little bit. As you walked into the room with the meeting planners, you probably had a different perspective as someone that's usually on the stage rather than someone who's usually not.
Right.
So what did you see from what they're doing that made you go, wow, that's really cool, or whoa, these people don't quite understand what it's like? Like anything that you had that stuck out to you?
Yeah, two things. One was, as you might imagine, the focus, everybody was talking about safety. So it was a learning for me to figure out, okay, how can we make all of this safe? And I kind of like where Cierra was going today, kind of bridging to where she was going, talking about community. The second thing is, how do we solve community when we can't get together with everybody. And I just finished a 3-day conference with my national association where, people were just saying, we miss seeing each other, and, virtual hugs just aren't doing it. So what can we do to create senses of community over the next 6, 12, 18 months, however long it's going to be before we can all get together again?
Yeah.
So 2 learnings there.
That's interesting. Well, thanks for sharing. I'll definitely be listening to any more information on that you can share with the communities that we're running. And thanks for sharing. A couple of things to catch up on in the chat. Susie Moon dropped in endotype is another way to discover how you think and the motivation behind what you do. Susie, I'm going to unmute you for a second here. Have you taken the endotype test or is it something you've seen?
I have. My friend Laura Hulleman designed the entire program, and it's a hybrid of Myers-Briggs. It's more than just a personality test. It's a way of thinking. So there's 16 different endotypes you can have. I'm a powerless balance conductor. And so I think first with action. You tell me something and I want to know, what do I do with it? Some people need to let it sink and, think about it. And then their last thing is action. So it's hard for me to work with those people because we're not on the same page. So you can take the test and schedule a call with Laura and she can explain it. There's trainings on it. It's just a new thing and it's going to explode. So
that sounds great. Okay, so we can definitely check that out. Jennifer's in the chat talking about you, that you're motivated by clients who pile on the work and expect greatness.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. All right, and also we have a comment for StrengthsFinder 2.0. Sandra's mentioning that, and folks started tossing in their ENFP and their INTJ and ENFPs and ENFJs and IDKs and whatever it is. So I've taken that test before. That's a good one. All right, so let's wrap up our Rally Point call for today. One quick note on the Idea Collective. We finished up our membership drive. It ended on July 27th with the Mike McCallow's webinar. High five to our new members and a big thanks to the community for rallying their own lists and their social media contacts and inviting them in. The group is going great. In July, we did a mastermind month where we encouraged everybody to connect with each other for one-on-one meetings. In August, we're now circling the wagons around the community, learning how to use the software, engaging with one another. And I think by the end of August, we're going to double the number of monthly events that we're doing by the time we add a couple of strategy sessions, some extra coaching sessions, some morning coffees, some afternoon meetings. So the group is growing and the engagement's growing. And if you'd like to get on the waiting list for the group when it reopens to new members, reopening in early October, text the word WAIT to 414-240-1315. That's 414-240-1315. And you can get on the list. So when we open the doors in October, you could be one of the first ones in. So thanks to our partners today, Serendipity Labs and the Idea Collective for Small Business Owners. And let's give it up for Cierra Lueck. I mean, she was amazing, teaching us about organic Facebook connections with our audience. So thank you so much for you, Cierra, for coming on. Hopefully we'll see you on another Rally Point call again soon. And of course, thank you to Jennifer Buchholz, who is producing the call, the ultimate connector and my business BFF. We appreciate it. I'm Pat Miller. I'm the Idea Coach. It's always fun to talk to you on the Small Business Rally Point, and we will talk to you next Monday at 3 o'clock. Thanks for coming. See you then. Bye-bye.